So went ahead and fast forwarded, and using the height gauge, I was able to go in order and just go through these settings that I had calculated, or just wrote down from the print. And I have all the major lines everywhere. All I'm missing right now are my curves. So I'm going to use radius gauge to do some of the curves. So you can see on that one, that is a 1/4 inch radius gauge. And so I can use that for this particular part of this drawing. So that arrow is pointing to that curve, and that is going to be a radius 0.25. So when I use the radius gauge, all I have to do is align the flats of that radius gauge with the flats of the lines I've already drawn. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space, because when I set my scriber down, it's not going to be able to go exactly right up against the edge of that gauge. And then I'll take my scribe and I'll just simply follow that curve around. And it produces a nice connecting curve that becomes tangent to the other lines. So the other option I have for making those curves is, again, to set my dividers to those different radii and then go for it. So the one that we will do this for is this last top curve right here. You can see that with the center of the center hole punched, center punched, that I'll be able to set it for a 0.38 radius, and I'll be able to complete that full curve all the way around, connecting with that line and that line until they're tangent. So I'm going to take my dividers and use this ruler over here. Find a whole inch with the jaw on the left, or the top jaw, and I'll open it up until I feel it click into the 3/8 line. Now, before I can use that point, I do need to center punch this line. And you can actually set the center punch into the groove, and you'll feel it when they are intersecting. And right there is perfect. One gentle strike. And then I'll go ahead and set that point there. And here we go. Set that point down and then gently pull that part around. All right. So you can see that I did not connect with those two lines, which is a good point to bring up. That before you scratch and the part is going to count, you have to get it perfect the first time. It's good to have a piece of scrap metal nearby where you can test it to make sure that your settings are correct. It looks like it's centered, not centered, it's a little bit to the right, so maybe I need to correct my center punch mark. So I can do two things, and even if this was the actual part, no problem. I can take my Sharpie and I can strike out that curve, and I can try again. Now, to correct the center punch, I can put the center punch, the prick punch, back into the dent I made, and instead of hitting straight down, I'm going to hit a little bit in the direction that's needed to move that location. So I'm going to hit once, make sure it's still there, good. Hit one more time, and then I'll do one strike down just to make sure that it's relocated. I also have the feeling it's going to be a little bit undersized, so I'm going to open up the jaws of my divider just a little bit. So I am totally guessing. Yeah.